There we go, I can't hear myself. First on my own stream. What an honor. I think I've outdone myself this time. Nothing quite like being first to your own stream. Thank you, Outrider. That was very kind of you. Now I'm wondering why... Huh. Yeah, new interface. This is Restream's new interface. It's blue, that's for sure. That's different. And it's less mileage per person, so but on the plus side, it looks nice. So I don't know, I'll try it out tonight. And actually, it's got a scroll window, so I don't have to like do the whole looking over here on the other screen and looking back in. Hello, welcome to another stream of Lyrebird Edits. Hangbone Zero, that's a new little name for you with a zero at the end. Is this a new Twitch account? Hello, hi, welcome back. I also have face in the mirror, but instead it was oh my goodness, we've been spooked by what are these? They're like not quite chain letters. Like it's a modern equivalent of if you scroll past, you're an awful human being. What do you call those? Someone's got a name for them, right? Nothing quite like a fresh name. What was it before? Well, did you have the zero as the O in your in the bone? But yeah, I get another subscriber, so it's all good. Make that count artificially higher. Wonderful. Ernst Herringbone. That's just Herringbone. Nice. Scam mail. I guess it's what you call that, wouldn't you? Scroll trolls. I'm trying to think of like what a good modern name for it would be. It's a funny word, isn't it? Why the zero? Was herringbone already taken, or I mean, zero adds a nice sort of flair to it. Don't get me wrong. You can't have a screen name without a zero. Where's your zero, Outrider SG? You should have. Hang on a second. Is your O at the start a zero or an O? Herringbone was taken, alas. Yeah, it'll take me a while to not call you Ernst Herringbone. Also, this is doing my head in. It's this new restream panel is most recent up here. And it just goes down. And I can scroll. Look at this. It doesn't vanish into the ether. Very nice. Good. Alright, so we're back for another week of editing. And another week of... I got another shirt that you guys can take a dump on. I'll show you later. You can probably see it now, but yeah, I'm just gonna sort of zip that up. Anyway, I promise I'll show you a bit later. But it's cold now, and I don't want to take my hoodie off. Yes, and we're also back with significantly less nephews than the last stream, and as much they didn't go anywhere. I didn't off them. You know, and that's of course what I would say had I made them vanish off the face of the earth. Yeah, nephews, if you're still out there somewhere, I do love you. But I don't think. I mean, I maybe you'll pop up on the stream. Maybe I don't know. Certainly not through YouTube. But yeah, because I've disabled the comments through YouTube. But so if we see the nephews, we see the nephews. But that was fun. Now where were we? Where did we get up to? Here, that's right. I remember the pleasing noise. Oh, it's an O. Fair use of the zero. Wait a second. What is this? It's an O, a capital O. And that's a 0. You can't bamboozle me, but there is a difference between these two. You can see it's just slightly thinner. Anyway, you probably didn't want to spend most of the evening comparing a capital O to a 0. We're here for the edits. That's what we're doing. That is what we are doing. So let's continue right on. For those who are watching this in 2239, trying to scour through the archives of the remains of humanity and wondering how we used to live our lives, or trying to like manually annotate some old archival footage. Hello. This is Dreams Old and Nascent by Shavine. RightAsRainMan was the screen name of this, the author of this story. And from the words of the author, it's a Harry Potter inspired boy/man, he's 18, that's a man, goes to like a Hogwarts-esque school in order to, I suppose, deal with his nascency, which is something that hasn't been touched on too heavily in the story so far, but I suppose we could consider it like a magical curse. And he's at this university, I suppose trying to make sense of the curse and trying, hopefully, to go home uncursed. Yay! It's dented, be nice. Your dented O's. Give me one sec. Alrighty, so last time we got up to... Yep, let's move that forward a bit. Get comfortable. Comfortable. So, the main character, his name is Aynr, A-Y-N-R, has just rocked up in front of his Easterner dorm, which he accepted the keys to as a sort of challenge, I suppose, is what you would consider that. And because of some of the backstory we've received above, the Eastern Dorm is probably going to be giving him some troubles due to his status in society. There's a book like that I enjoyed called Seeker, 9k years in the future, searching for lost history of humanity. That sounds pretty cool. Nice. I should check that out, actually. Do you remember who the author was? Kind of an interesting plot for a story. All sorts of possibilities. The wonders of what sci-fi can offer. Yeah, kind of sad too. Anyway, I made the comment here last time about this is the first moment of magic in the story, and the way that it's delivered to us needs to be with, I guess, an understanding of the kind of reaction that we as readers should feel seeing this magic, because we don't know as readers whether or not magic is mundane in this world, or if it's really special, or if it's horrifying, or if it's cursed, you know, that sort of implication. Best way to show that is to get Aynr to react to it. Aynr had to move out of the way to avoid being hit in the face. The chuckle came from beyond the doors, and here we've got Malfoy here, I suppose. But here is a good opportunity to demonstrate to us how the characters are reacting to magic. A colony ship called Seeker was lost, and they found it orbiting a brown dwarf, a separate development of humans living on a planet in the Goldilocks zone. Ooh. That's pretty nice. Okay, so here we go. Let's start reading out. They can be a bit dangerous if you're not ready for it, said a bored-looking girl, a few years older. She was standing behind a small podium a few feet into the building. I'll need to borrow your gate pass as well. You're a foreigner, right? How did you know? Aina handed over the pass, which she touched in a specific place. It made the same noise it had at the door, which sounded like a bell ringing in the back of his head. Most scholars wait till later in the week to move in, but foreigners come in early to have some extra orientation days. That should do. You're on the first floor. She helped Aina to his room. He figured she probably was supposed to stay at the podium, but it wasn't like there was much reason to. If you have any free time tomorrow, drop by and we can get you into the records a little early. It'll be easier to come and go from the various buildings once you do. She headed back to her post, leaving Aina at the door to his room. Enjoy the showers while you have them to yourself, she called back. You'll miss the privacy when everyone moves in. You'll miss the privacy when everyone moves in. Jack McDewitt. Cool. Jack McDevitt. What did I say? McDewitt? McDevitt. Old Seeker. Oh, so it's the third in a trilogy? I'm just looking at this from Goodreads. This one. Oh, that didn't work. Yay! I am Twitch. This is me. This one. I'm gonna read more, and then come back and talk about it. After some time acquainting himself with his new rooms, Aina found himself in the first floor washroom. His bare feet slapped against the rough floor as he picked out a stall near the back. Without much thought, he grabbed a towel and a bar of soap from some nearby stacks and locked himself inside. A jet of steamy water hit him as he turned the nozzle. It was easily the best shower he had been in, although he figured that was partly due to his exhaustion, and partly to do with having the entirety of a dom's water reserves concentrated into his shower head. The water pressure was staggering, and he tried his best to relax as he let it hit the back of his neck. He tried to forget about everything on his mind for tomorrow, and let his mind drift to less important things. His room had been pretty bare, save for a bed that was a little on the short side, and a simple desk. The far wall featured a large window, which had a view of a finely manicured lawn with paths snaking through it. He hadn't bothered to unpack yet, maybe after a bit of sleep. He'd need to wake up a little early and give himself enough time, but he was actually looking forward to sleeping in an actual bed. It had been comfier than he'd expected. Aina allowed himself a small chuckle. Maybe things wouldn't be as bad as he feared. He wiped a stream of water out of his eyes, bringing his gaze to the floor, where Aina stiffened. His smile soured as he took in his shadow, or more accurately, what had once been his shadow. In place of the silhouette he expected to see, the shadow had no distinct shape. It flowed and swirled like the water that circled the drain. It had been this way ever since it suddenly dawned on Aina just how far away from home he was. He knelt to touch the floor. While he couldn't feel anything strange, his shadow shifted out of a space his hand now occupied. It was like it was made of a thick smoke, and he began to move his arms about, willing the shadow to mirror him. He begged it to go back to normal, straining until he was blue in the face. He eventually gave up, falling to the floor, panting. His face now mere inches from the floor, Aina stared at the shadow, his shadow, the Nascent's shadow. He took in a sharp breath. Nascency, the ken of devils, and it was stuck to him. It was on his breath, in his hair, and under his nails. And as a result, he wouldn't see his family or his home for many years, if ever. He struggled back into a seated position, still breathing heavily. The water had turned cold. Aina shut his eyes tight and shivered. Happy thoughts, Aina, he said out loud. A comfy bed tonight, then you can take care of everything starting tomorrow. Aina stood up slowly and began to lever up and then straight home. Oh good, here's chapter 2. He forced himself to look at his demon shadow. He couldn't let it affect him in front of the territorials. They probably ran around showing their neighbors once the nascency was a. They probably ran around showing their neighbors once the nascency was upon them, and you had to keep that and a whole lot in mind. You needed to be the perfect scholar. If you played the part, the other professors and scholars might unknowingly help him, but if the Cham realized his goals, they could easily obstruct him, and if he was expelled, he would realistically never be able to return to his village. Straight home, you thought, before you know it. Alright, so we're starting here. Now, two major things happen in these 830 words. The first thing is that Aina walks through into his newly appointed dorm. There's a person there for some reason, like a receptionist, and she takes him to his room. And then Aina sort of this is all a single paragraph of I'm in the shower, my shadow's a bit weird, and then we get a sort of focalized piece of exposition about what he's doing here, and a sort of reiteration of his drive. This is quite a neat sort of little package summary of everything that. Oh, sorry, I'm not even in suggesting mode. What am I doing? Suggesting. It's a neat little summary of where we've come in chapter 1, what we're doing, and where everything's gone. But I think in terms of I'll tell you what I think is maybe bothering me about this section here. It's partly the fact that I don't think this sort of ancillary information before the important point is necessary. And I think it's also the case that what we've got here, in addition to being ancillary to what's really going on, which is Aina's looking down at his shadow, it's more the fact that it breaks focalization. So what we have here is he's walking into the shower, nice quality stream, the water pressure was staggering, he tried to forget, and let his mind drift to less important things. So the camera of the story is focused in on Aina, and then from this point down here, the camera then focuses off over here into a room, and there's a garden, the bed's too small, and it's not information that I think is important to the story. In fact, I think having this here slows the pace down unnecessarily. Not that it all needs to be high-paced, but it's just not, it's not information that's pertinent to pushing the story forward, or really building a sense of where we are. Like, if you want to do a guided tour of the house, you can make it a bit more, I suppose, effective. Due to his exhaustion is kind of the key here. What is otherwise quite a mundane scene, I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about money dorm, only has importance if it links back in with Aina's emotional state. It's not necessarily the case that the emotion has to underpin every single scene of the story, but we need a justification as to why this is here in the first place. And I feel like this is probably the key, due to his exhaustion. Have a think about why this scene is here. We've got Aina, A-N-Y-R. It's a difficult name to say. We've got Aina, or Anya. I'm gonna call Aina. We've got Aina relaxing in a new place, becoming more familiar with it, etc., etc., etc. becoming familiar in new territory, etc., etc. But what's really important here is his emotional state. If you wanted to make this scene a guided tour of the dorms kind of situation, have a think about how to link this in with Aynar's A-Y-N-R S's emotions. Is he overwhelmed by the interior? Is a hot shower on demand novel? Is the presence of a dorm secretariat? Secretariat's not the right word. It's kind of like a doorman, a dorm doorman. I don't want to say flashy. We don't know. We don't know. And as readers, we're watching. Sorry, right, let me go back and read what you said. If the bedroom detail is important, have Aina interact with stuff and have it pull memories to the fore and such. I think I agree. Everything in these 3 paragraphs was filling things out without showing much. Yep. So I'll follow on from what Outrider was saying, because I think he's spot on too. We don't know as readers, no apostrophe. And as readers, we're watching for Aina's reactions to everything, to gauge how we should react. So it's quite functional. In terms of what's written here, and arguably quite unnecessary. I think, I don't know if this is the best way to round out the chapter with this sort of like, hey, the dorms are here, let me give you a bit of a splash. Okay, and now, bam, at the end here, we get the first demonstration of nascency. This is really important, and I'd argue that this, more than anything else, should be at the fore. This can basically be summarized as Aina hops in the shower and thinks about his dorm. And if it can be summarized in a sentence, and if it's just as effective, then it's arguable whether or not it needs to be a full-on paragraph. You've also got to be careful about things like here. Aina handed over his pass, which she touched in a specific place. I mean, I certainly don't think this is the way that you write it, but I want to make a comment about this first here. If this is quite a... It's quite an important detail that is missing from when it first happens. Push this up to the front entrance. Additionally, Aina handed over the pass, which you touched in a specific place, to the GUI. Too vague, I think. Does she touch a symbol? Does a corner, etc., etc., etc. There's nothing that you gain from saying specific place. I just did the air quotes, I'm sorry. I think that annoys me more than anyone else, but yeah. There's no reason why it should be a specific place. Make it spell it out, tell us where she touches it. Be careful too of repetitions of the same word in the same sentence. Now, there was one specific place where I felt it was very... Just trying to find it, because I think it's important. He had more to unpack yet, maybe had a bit of sleep. He'd need to wake up a little early to give himself enough time, but he was actually looking forward to sleeping. Yeah, here. Actually looking forward to sleeping in an actual bed. Just really, well, watch out for repetitions of very similar words. There's another part here as well. Um, it had been comfier than he'd expected. Um, Water pressure was staggering. Mm. Okay, I think that was probably what I needed to say. The comments weird. Oh, weird. It shows the most recent first now. Yeah, so you have to get used to looking up here for the first. It's strange, isn't it? But on the plus side, I can scroll back. What's really good about this end section though is that it ends on something that crystallizes his whole reason for being in this university. It's a very good way to end a chapter. Um, and while this section here, from anus stiffened down to floor panting, look, you can probably we can tug these sentences into new shapes, and I think that there's probably stronger ways to write this. But first, I want to talk a little bit more about. No, actually, let's. I'll provide a line edit of this, demonstrate how I think it can be stronger. But then I want to talk about all of chapter one as a big opening. It was comfier than anything. That's what was bothering me about it. Yeah. Um, it had been comfy. It was comfier than he'd expected. It had been comfier than was comfier than he. Ah, yeah. It was comfier than he expected. It had been comfier. Yeah, it needs to be was because had been implies that it's got a different present state. Good correction. His smile soured as he took in his shadow, or more accurately, the commas there, what had once been his shadow. In place of a silhouette he expected to see, the shadow had no distinct shape. You can reconfigure this a little bit. It floated, swirled like water, like the water that circled the drain. What had once been his shadow. Get rid of all that and put So, in place of a silhouette he expected to see, the shadow had no distinct shape, is it's a little empty because we've got quite a bit that follows it. This is something that I think is a bit difficult to put into words, but I'll try my best. You have one strong opportunity to introduce an unreal element. And the way that you do introduce that element needs to be strong from the very first image that you put into your reader's mind. You declare that something strange is about to take place, and then that very first declaration needs to be sharp, to the point, and vivid. Nothing vague, nothing sort of decent but not strong. It needs to be like bam, like a lame click of the fingers, and it needs to be like a very sharp click of the fingers, like ah, like that, yeah, like a good click of the fingers. Why? I think it's obvious once you see it. It makes intuitive sense for that to be the case, but it's also got to do with length and metaphor fatigue, I suppose is what you'd call it. You don't have an awful lot of real estate space to convey an unreal image to someone before they just go, yep, 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 fine, I get it. It's a ghostly silhouette thing, right? Readers, modern readers, people, us human beings, in 2018, are so well versed in fantasy and science fiction tropes. You could literally just put this sentence in. So the reason why you'd have more is to imbue it with flair, with a bit of character. You don't need to go into great detail explaining about, okay, it's a shadow, but it's not really his shadow. It's kind of like a bit of smoke, but not really. Like, we get it. It's a shadow that's like an animate thing, like a Peter Pan thing. Like, I'm just trying to think of some other examples of like wonky shadows. It's a clear trope, and that we know intuitively what it looks like. Good news for you, it means you don't have to write so much, but it means that your first image, what had once been his shadow, that's the lift. That's the declaration that you're about to describe an unreal element. You got to then hit it out of the cricket ground, out of the cricket ground for a 6. Shapeless, fuzzy, it floated and swirled like the water that circled the drain. Fine, I'm on board. I know what you're talking about. It's an unreal shadow, possibly demon. Let's go. It had been this way ever since. Good. It's because if this is now not an imagery thing, it is now a piece of information. It suddenly dawned on him just how far away from home he was. He knelt to touch the floor while he couldn't feel anything strange. His shadow shifted out of the space his hand now occupied. He doesn't really need kneel to touch the floor. It was like it was made of a thick smoke. I think this is okay. I gotta actually apologize for something. I assumed that this was like the start of a multi-chain metaphor. So when I reread it, I was expecting it to just be more and more descriptions of a shadow. But I think I got my order of events slightly wrong. So I assumed this was kind of up earlier. That being said, I think that's why there was this sentence before it. Still, I think my point stands. I think this is a one-shot, decent description that you can play with, because it contains everything that this told us just here. Anyway, moving on. It had been this way ever since, and suddenly dawned on Anna just how far away from home he was. I think that's actually okay, because we can assume what this means. He knelt to touch the floor while he couldn't feel anything strange. His shadow shifted out of the space his hand occupied. So this is a great opportunity to personify and give life to the shadow. So he doesn't kneel to touch the floor. He knelt down. No, I don't want to use the word slushed. What about skidded? Don't like skidded. His shadow shifted out of the space his hand now occupied is a very literal sense of what happens, but the darkness streaked away is like a very basic way of giving a bit of character to the shadow. You can do it a bit, I think, in a stronger way. something like this, for instance, scampering is a very closely linked word with animalistic behavior. You think of animals scampering away, skittering away, which is why I tried to use skittering, but it didn't sound particularly good. So scampering, I think, is quite good. Um, left in the wake of his grip. Left in the wake of his grip. He touched his fingers to the floor and felt the nothingness slip away, a void left in its wake, left in the wake of his grip. I think this is quite a nice way to dress up what was written before. His shadow shifted out of a space, his hand now occupied. If you still wanted to, this is a note to RightAsRainMan. If you still wanted to persist in going for this route, I'd do what OutRightSG suggests here, which is to dress it up and make it a bit more ornate. I'd suggest doing this kind of path, which is giving a bit of life to the actual shadow. I think that's a really delightful thing for the readers, to feel like the shadow is not only a curse, but it's its own living entity. A bit like... Lucy from Disenchantment. That's what I was going for. Like, it's a shadow, it's two-dimensional, but it's got character. You don't have to make it like Lucy. And you don't have to copy that idea, of course, but what I'm saying is that there's a whole extra element that you could add to this by making it a bit more animalistic. Even if it's not its own entity right now, I don't know what's going to happen later. Maybe it's revealed that there's a spirit living inside his shadow, potentially. Nevertheless, it makes it a bit more interesting to read, I feel. Maybe to the points. Still, all the same, herringbone. I'm sure that if we are on the same wavelength, so yay for both of us. But if you do feel like I miss something, then please tell me. Type faster with those thumbs. And he began to move his arms about. Get rid of began to, that's a golden rule. Moved his arms about, willing the shadow to mirror him. He begged her to go back to normal, straining until he was blue in the face. Unusual image? Also has the same sentence structure as what came before it. This happened, that happened. This happened, that happened. This happened, that happened. Be careful about comma usage and phrase separation. He begged her to go back to normal, staggering until he was blue in the face. Eventually he gave up, falling to the floor, panting. Just to check here. Back to normal? So I'm going to assume that his shadow has a dual mode. That it's sometimes like this, sometimes not. Guess that also explains why in public he's not concerned. Straining until he was blue in the face is a bit of an unusual image. Also, I think it's maybe a bit redundant. He eventually gave up, falling to the floor, panting. With his face now mere inches from the floor, Aina stared at the shadow, his shadow, the Nascent shadow. He took in a sharp breath, nascency, the can of devils, and it was stuck to him. The can of devils stuck to him. It was on his breath, in his hair, and under his nails. And as a result, he wouldn't see his family or his home for many years, if ever. And I've highlighted this in gold to say that this is It's a great recap. Good way to end a chapter as well. Easily my fave part of this last section, because it just really brings home everything that he's here for and what he's doing. Is that showing you good? Says Herringbone. Was I meddling the autocorrect? Disenchantment, yeah. I watched 2 episodes of Disenchantment, and I like it. It's no Futurama, but I mean, if we look back at the first couple of episodes of Futurama and the first season, it's like it's finding its feet. I think we can expect Disenchantment to find its own rhythm, but I need to watch more of it too. I don't think 2 episodes is enough to judge. But yeah, more Disenchantment in the future. I think it's worth giving it a go. I missed the middle chunk of his chapter. Is this world entirely new to Aina? A bit like a Muggle, etc.? It's a good question, Herringbone. I feel like I don't really know. In some regards, he's in a new environment, but I don't know how new it is. That's probably a good question for RightAsRainMan to consider, and is maybe a nice segue into talking about what Chapter 1 is. Let's keep that idea bubbling away. It gives us a chance to focus on little things that are different here, a bit like going to a new country. Even the smallest things end up being fascinating. Let's address this in just like 1 minute. I want to just finish off this thing. And I think this is like this later part here is okay. I don't strictly like the dialogue here. I don't know who would actually say this out loud. It's probably not. I actually get rid of all of it. I think he also probably needs to like maybe the pivot from fear into normalcy is a little too quick. Maybe consider adding a little more calm down to ease his transition from nervous to normal. That's probably the only thing I consider here, and then it's sort of like a stamp at the end here. It's like, yep, tick. In terms of how you close it off in a narrative sense, I mean, I could pick apart this, but I don't feel like it'd be useful right now. I don't want to refer back to Harry Potter, but that spends a lot of time talking about the weird things that stick out to Harry, which makes the reader feel just as interested in learning how the world works. Good point. The best actually is the first one you get to learn. I think I agree with you, Ernst. I think I agree with you. And I think you've raised some good points here that I can now easily segue into talking about. What's missing from this opening sequence isn't more micro detail on how the world operates. It's details like what Ernst was talking about here, Mr. Herringbone. I'll just call you Herringbone from now on. The smallest things end up being fascinating, combined with which makes the reader feel just as interested in learning how the world works. So what we're missing here isn't so much the lack of story detail. It's about how we as readers feel to be in this world. Thoughts on chapter 1? What's it like to go to a foreign country and see all of the new and wondrous things? What about this new world fascinates, scares, horrifies, confounds our main character? How does the taste of magic feel to him? How does the presence of blonde-haired people feel to him? How does he take to feeling out of place and foreign / exotic, etc., etc.? What about this university makes him stop and go, wow? I have answers to these questions. I have answers to some of these questions, but they are mainly told to me, or I have to guess them. Lots of times, something cool happens to / around our MC, but he doesn't react to it. The best example I can think of is, well, e.g., door opens by itself, gate with 2 halves, blonde people aren't nice, Eastern Dawn is XYZ. Wow. And people here look at me funny. Do they know I'm a Nascent? Do they know my horrible secret? That's something that I think is information that we need to experience through Aina himself. So Herringbone says, from what I've seen, strange events happen, but aren't seen through the lens of a lost person. Ooh, that's a very good summary. Yeah. Also because you and I said lens at the same time. Nice. And Outrider says, we're missing Aina's discovery of the wonder, how he thinks about each new encounter. We don't know what to think because we don't know how he feels about it in the context of his world. So I think Shavine has three people independently saying the same thing in almost exactly the same way. There's a huge amount of wonder on display here, but I don't feel like I know. I don't feel the wonder because I don't feel Aina feeling the wonder. He just sort of goes along with the flow and he's like, oh yeah, oh, now I'm in that dawn. Oh, there's a girl over there, she's doing that. Oh, now I've got to go over here and pick up my key. Oh, these blonde people are being pretty mean to her. It's all a bit blasé for him, like, and it shouldn't be, because at the very start of this chapter here, we actually get quite a lot of very condensed backstory built into Aina. We get his sense of how the world operates and what he's doing inside of it. Even then, even when he's bouncing around with all these people on the cart, I thought they were like being led to being executed or something when I first read this. It was quite dire, the kind of feeling that I got from this opening scene here. Yet the more we read, the more I had to constantly redefine my expectation of what was going on, because I didn't know where Aina was going. I couldn't see it. No one was telling me where he was going. We just sort of picked up eventually that, oh, he's going to a university. Which is, I think, somewhere down here. There's There's a nascent potential, shape of a crescent moon, which was on these papers. I still don't know what that means, but now I'm guessing it is the sigil of the university. When he passes under the gate, we get quite a big description about the gate. I'm just trying to find where it is. Here's the immense structure. Here's the gate. Let me read this out to you. At first, Aina had thought the sun was hidden behind a cloud, but as he looked up, he realized the car had stopped in the shadow of an immense structure. They were walking under a huge, ornate gate. The walls reached high enough that Aina could see birds circling comfortably below the arch. Streaks of crimson ribbon adorned each side. The left and right sides of the gate had been made out of different materials, almost like they had run out in the middle of construction. It didn't seem to be an accident, however, as the split happened right down the middle. The left was entirely a dull iron, and the right was made of red brick. The two bronze plaques hung above the travellers. The leftmost read Resolve, and the rightmost Providence. Aiden wondered if it was some kind of maxim. He hadn't been told much of the universities, just that there were 4 campuses. Aina had been sent to the southern one. All of this is detail, but Aina at no point feels it. But as he looked up, he realized the cart had stopped in front of an immense shadow. They were walking under a big gate. Aina doesn't feel anything, or at least I can't tell from this. He doesn't look up in slack-jawed disbelief. He doesn't look up and marvel or stop and wonder, or the immense structure took his breath away. Aina felt its presence stir something deep within him, like as if thousands of years of history were contained in this, and he, a mere ant on the side of the anthill, was looking up into the spectre of greatness. Even something like that, in all its ornate purple prose, kind of blah 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 blah, does one thing that's kind of missing from here, and it's that it shows us the emotion of how Aina is interacting with his world. There are lots of points in the story that are like this, where we get good images, and interesting things too. Like you make mention of Resolve and Providence basins coming together and having commonality a bit later, which is a really cool idea. But like, it's immense and huge and ornate, but if you take out these words, the whole paragraph would just be Aina going, "Oh yeah, that's a gate," and then he walks through it. Interesting detail. Again, don't get me wrong. It's cool detail, but Aina doesn't. We don't get to hear his thoughts or the contents of his heart. Super simple fix. Like, I make this out to be like a huge problem, and you're gonna have to rewrite everything. It's not that difficult. What you have to do is you have to pick a place within this paragraph where Aina visually processes something and weave in an emotional reaction. Example, but as he looked up, But as he looked up, he felt the imposing presence of the gate strike some deep sense of fear into his heart. In all of his life, he had never before seen something so dire, so complex and intricate as this gate. Two arches intersecting, their materials cut straight down the middle, iron on the left, brick on the right. Aina stopped and let the structure fill his vision, his heart beating quicker and quicker, for beyond, the university grounds unfurled, pinned behind the splendor of this great introduction. What this is, and I don't want to toot my own horn at you here or anything, but what I'd like to see transplanted into the writing around it is just snippets of how Aina is feeling. He stops and lets the structure fill his vision, his heart beating quicker and quicker. The heart and soul of what I wrote is this. Is this. Is this. Let the structure fill his vision is passive. Grand introduction. These things here, instead of being like, it's big, it's immense, it's huge, this gives you a better sense that it's actually impacting him emotionally, whereas descriptions like huge, ornate, and immense are more factual. They're divorced from how Aina is feeling. Sure, we can get the impression that Aina is impressed, but we don't feel it. Whereas if you have fear into his heart, quicker and quicker, grand introduction, let the structure fill his vision, all of these little tricks are woven in, and it gives the reader a sense of how Aina is feeling. And also around it, I just plopped in the detail that it's already here, right? Like, we've got the arches that come up, and they may, like, I put overlapping, but they intersect and stop. Sure, we can fix that up later, but yeah. Oh yeah, my superfluous views are my superfluous views. One day you guys will adopt the correct English, Outrider SG. You'll come back into the commonwealth of proper language. No, splendor is really spelt with a U. It's splendour. That's how splendor is supposed to be spelt. Yeah, this isn't a hard fix. It may look like I've just had to rewrite everything, but it's not that bad really. If you want to, you could just pick a point here, right? All I was doing was just rewriting over this highlighted sentence here. I didn't want to go backspace and write over it. I just wanted to sort of plonk it here. So, in addition to that, look at what page is this? 4. I'll just go back and make a comment here. Take a look at page 4, the green. Take a look at page 4, the green highlighted section that I wrote in. These little additions glue the reader to Aina's experiences by emotion. Drip these into the narrative, and the story becomes immediately stronger. Of course, I'm not saying write like me. What I'm saying is that there's an emotional core here that can be polished and written in. In some cases, it's just not there. Case in point would be this guy here. You heard the pass make a pleasing noise and the doors swung open and Aina had to move out of the way. A chuckle came from beyond the doors. So, as I said last stream, this is the first point in the story where there's magic! This is cool! And the only thing Aina does is he's just like, nah. He moves to the side. And and it's not even the case that he's a meh versus magic. It's just that it's missing. There's no sense that Aina is reacting. And if Aina's not reacting, then how are we to react? And it's not the case that your reader has to be smashed over the head with like, this is magic, be amazed. It's not like that, but because you can also do the counter thing. You can be like, Aina crossed his arms and waited for the door to complete swinging open. Did all magic take this long in the realms? Like, you could do like a sort of reverse expectation of like, Aina is not impressed with the magic. Totally fine, totally fine. It could be the most normal, boring thing for him in the whole world. But we need to know that. We need to know it's either mundane, or cool, or scary, or terrifying, or that he wants to learn how to make a door fly open. We need to know. So glue us as readers to Aina, and we will be there. Like that's the. I think that's probably the biggest suggestion I have for all of chapter 1 in a character sense. I like the setup. I like the fact that he's going to a university to study and rid himself of this curse. I like the people he meets, they're interesting. I like the class structure, I like the legal structure of the basins, I like the notion of the university. I'm still not sure if this is modern or medieval, because there are no cars, traffic lights. When's this taking place? We need to know by now. It's no longer the case that you can suspend the reader's disbelief when it comes to this. Like, we are 5k words, I'm gonna guess. 5k. Yep. It's time that we know. You don't have to introduce it in the first little bit, but you can drop hints every now and then about when this is taking place. I still don't know. And I'd like to know. I'd like to know, please. Number 2. Just make a few. When is this taking place? What era? Streetlights or gas lamps? Future or medieval? Because the only thing I have to go from is dorm keys, carts, and giant stone archways. Like, that makes me think that it's medieval. So help me out. I don't know. But that's cool, because it's a good opportunity for you to go through and be like, let's say Aina's just moved into the university proper for the first time. Describe a streetlight. That's all I need. Like, at an intersection where the streetlights blared, a whole group of tourists with their camera phones were taking photos of a giant 300-year-old spire of the university. Something like that. And then I'd be happy. Then I could breathe a sigh of relief and go, okay, now I know. Now I know where we are. Ideally, you'd want it earlier, though. And I suppose just about the introduction too. The suggestion I made in the last stream was to paint the picture first and foremost. I like that we get a bit of like an uneasy sense of what Aina's doing in his first opening pass, but I feel like I would very early on recommend that this story have an introduction of Aina is going here, and he is currently here. He's with these people because, and this is how he's feeling. I'm going somewhere. I'm currently here. People are around me, and I feel like shit. Or I feel really excited. Like, I can't wait to visit the university that will be potentially the cure for my weird social predicament, which is the shadow / nascency. Hey there, Whitman. Hello, good to see you. Welcome back to the stream. This temporal world of ours are decided by the erratic dance of the stars above, twirling in their maddened rhythms in the empty ether, with no care to the worlds that fall victim to the apocalyptic collisions happening between them. That's sci-fi poetry. I like that. I like it. Congratulations on penning. Penning? Yeah, that's a word. Yeah, it's nice. Sci-fi poetry is not something I see much of. Or even like narrative prose. Maybe it's more narrative prose. I'm not sure. Very ornate sentence construction. Yeah. So, positive things about chapter one. I think you've got a really interesting story that's being slowly unfurling before my eyes. And I feel like it's a deep, deep world that we're stepping into. There's a whole lot of class structures, the nature of magic, what nascency is. I want to know more about Aina. I want to know more about if he has brothers and sisters. But there's a desire for me to know that, so that's good. It means that I'm engaging with the characters too. Um, you can't go wrong with this kind of story structure in a sense. It's an endearing quality about these types of stories is that they're naturally exciting and make you inquisitive. They draw you into a world, put you on side with some I wouldn't say easy yes or no characters, but you very quickly know who you're rooting for, who you're going against, and you fall into the gentle rhythm of what this kind of story offers, which is wonder and intrigue and a bit of magic and a curse. Like, it's got all the elements bubbling away for a really engaging story. So, despite the fact that I've gone through and made lots of comments and lots of highlights, I hope it all makes sense. It makes more sense when you listen to what I say, I guess, rather than just going through and looking like, why did I highlight this yellow? It makes sense when I did it eventually. No, originally. That's what I meant. So yes. And of course, consider it all friendly advice. Everything I do is friendly advice. It's never a dogmatic like you must do this. Why did you do this? I don't like this. I don't like that. But yeah, I think one of the really nice things about my lovely chat regulars as well is that they're on the ball just as much as I am. Their contributions are just as valid as what I'm saying. I'm by no means the expert, and I think having a bunch of writers here who are all bound together and giving good advice is a fantastic thing for anyone's story. Because we're never trying to tear each other down or outmaneuver each other. It's all about thinking of how the writing's working and whether we can see any weaknesses and suggesting how we can make each other's writing stronger. So, yeah. Hello, DC Not Important. Good to see you again. Oh, how you going? How are you? Let's start chapter 2, actually. Why not? Why not? Ooh, excuse me. Friendly advice. Anna tried his best to make himself comfortable on the stiff chair. He was in a well-lit room, seated so he could keep an eye on the door to his left. He glanced at the clock on the wall. His appointment had been scheduled for 20 minutes earlier. It must be hard to stay on schedule with so many students, he figured. The door opened, and Aina was surprised to see Edda walk out with her arms folded. He chose that moment to be incredibly interested in the pattern of the floor. He glanced up once she had left. He needed to sort that out sooner rather than later. The room was free now, so Aina crept up to the door and gave it a sharp rap. Weakly concealing a deep concern. That would sort of look like what would that look like? Let's reconfigure about it a little bit. it would be like an insincere thing, like strongly recommend you do this. By that I mean do it. No, it's never like that. Um, I'll read a whole chunk of this and then we'll go back and talk about it. What is it? A voice almost coughed. Aina poked his head into the. You guys know what I'm going to say about this. Aina poked his head into the room. Inside was a desk littered with stacks of paper and a tall man perched behind it. The room smelled of stale cigarette smoke. I was supposed to come in for advisement? Aina said. The man nodded and waved him in. Close the door, he said, while teasing a piece of paper out of one of the stacks. You one of the new first years. Tempted to stop there, but I'll go forward. Aina nodded, taking a seat. Also, tell me, what do you guys think of this new chronologically reordered chat box thing? I like it, actually. It would get a bit messy with some high volume chat, but I think it's nice. Anna nodded, taking a seat. The man had long hair that he had tied back in braids. All the territorial men Aina had seen so far had wore their hair short and buzzed. Oh, so much to comment on. I'm gonna make little yellow comments. Piece of paper. I mean, I'm gonna make mention of these anyway. I just don't want to forget for whatever reason. And even stranger, the man's skin was almost as dark as Aina's. I'm Bintan. I'm going to be your scholastic advisor. I'll keep this short, your first season of classes. It's going to be pretty straightforward. Can I have your name? Aina, full name please. You're Aina, my family name comes first, no problem. We have no way of specifying that in our system. Just so you know. We have basin or house names here. They work similarly, but they have to be registered and I can't do that for you. You might be correcting people on that while you're here a lot. They'll think it's your entire name. Aina nodded. Thank you, I was expecting to have to explain it just now. No worries. My parents were from below the plateaus, so I get it. Okay, Aina, do you have any active crossings? That is to say, any nascent powers? I'm confused, I thought that was a given. I am still in the nascent program, right? Bintan nodded, still filling out the form in front of him. Let me clarify, we do already know that you are a nascent. However, in order to take classes, you need to have a nascent power that you can actively use. We call this a crossing. Maybe you've heard a different term for them before, knots or nodes, for example. I'm not sure I have. If I asked you to use your nascency right here and now, could you? No. Okay, that's settled then. To start with, I'm going to have you take both NASC 100, Entering the Dream, and NASC 101, Intro to Nascency, which both have their first classes. Tomorrow, the 100 class is a preliminary course which you are required to complete before you can take any more classes this season. Once you've passed, you can come see me again and we'll fill out the rest of your schedule. Don't worry, this is common on all the other classes besides the two you're taking, begin later to account for scholars who don't have crossings yet. Good, I'll stop there and I'll go back up. I used to do academic advice work for my uni, so sentences like these just roll off my tongue because it sounds like I'm explaining a course to a student, and I've done this for a while. So it sounds very familiar. As for whether or not it works in a story, we'll get to that in a sec. The names are very big, aren't they? Yeah. I think they need to be bigger. Yeah, I agree. I sort of miss the old one. I can probably make it a bit smaller. Buzz implies that it's an invention of the buzzing hair clipper, but this may not be the author's intention. Good spotting. Buzz cut, I think. Yes. Yes. Good point. I didn't actually pick up on that myself. So let me go and highlight it in a shade of yellow? Where was it? Oh, it's already my highlight. But I was highlighting it for a different reason. And tried his best to make himself comfortable in the stiff chair. He was in a well-lit room, seated, so he could keep an eye on the dot to his left. He glanced on the clock, his appointment, blah 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 blah. He must be hard to stay on the schedule with so many students, he figured. This sentence here is the first point that I know what's happening. Like, I can kind of guess. I thought he was in a class, but this solidifies the fact that he's waiting for somebody to come and speak with him, or he's waiting for his turn. He was in a well-lit room, seated so he could keep an eye on the door to his left. I would actually reconfigure this so that you don't plonk him in, in a way that tells us directly. How about, whoops, wrong word, wrong letter. Anna tried his best to make himself comfortable in the stiff chair as he awaited his turn. Beyond the door to his left lay the councillor's quarters. Maybe if he strained his ears, he could make out the fuzzled conversation beyond. He glanced at the clock on the wall. His appointment had been scheduled for 20 minutes earlier. It must be hard to stay on schedule with so many students. If he could have the door open, and was surprised to see Ada walk out with her arms folded. It's not so much that I feel like this needs its own descriptive grounding of dust motes flitted through the air of the old office, and Aina peered through the dusk of mid-morning as it streamed in from the window, blah, 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 blah. We don't need that sort of description. I think we can just kind of cut to the chase, that he's in some sort of room. It doesn't strictly matter, because then he moves from the room into the second room. I feel okay in being a bit like, no, we can just wait until we ride with Aina from room A into room B, and that gives us a bit more flexibility just to sort of free up our mental imagery, I guess. I still made the green text, nice. Still. I think it's the effort that counts. I'm not ignoring it, no. Pop it into Discord if you would like someone to read. What was I going to say next? Yeah, pop it into Discord, but I probably won't read it during stream. I just want to sort of stay focused on what we've got in front of my eyes. The door opened and Aiden was surprised to see Etta walk out with her arms folded. He chose that moment to be incredibly interested in the pattern on the floor. He chose that moment to be incredibly interested. I sort of like how this is a little bit roundabout, but... I think that'd be certainly something to see. They certainly use a lot. I wonder how sort of jam-packed you can make it. I think the incredibly interested sort of throws me off a little bit. The alliteration might not work to the advantage of what's trying to take place. He chose that moment to... in the pattern of the floor. He chose that moment to focus every bit of his attention in the pattern of the floor, on the floor. I'm going to say floor tiles. I think pattern of the floor. Maybe it can be replaced with floor tiles. He glanced up once she had left. He glanced up once she had left. He needed to sort that out sooner rather than later. Put that in italics. The room was free now, so Anna crept up to the door and gave it a sharp rap. I think that's fine. Just watch out, we've got a bit of he. He. Ho ho ho. I think this works. Only once she had left. Only when she left? Only after? Oops, that doesn't help, does it? Only after she had left did... All I was doing there was just removing the he's. So now it's he, a, o, he. Lovely. A nice exercise for the writer and everyone might be to try and describe the surroundings of a scene in a way one might know them after waiting around for a while in anticipation. Oh, damn, that's good. That's a really good suggestion. Haha. I'll get to the chat in a second. I just want to sort of work with this. 407. Yes, I spelt counselor properly. 407 little squares, that many squares, all over the walls, the floor, in a never-ending pattern. And wondered if he should count them all over again. There'd surely be enough time, given how long the counselor, which I'm now spelling correctly, was taking with the current student. And then this sentence becomes redundant. And then this one comes redundant too. Little suggestion by Herringbone here. I'm just gonna copy and paste. Good way to start a chapter and introduce the fact that he's waiting. XYZ. Maybe you'd like to put your own spin on this. Yeah, what do you think? Showing things in interesting ways can show his feelings without saying it. Yeah, I think Pumpkin Pie Addict did something similar with the Grimm stories. Do you guys remember that? I think one of the guards was counting footsteps, wasn't he? We take the straight home to say I'm not familiar with that, I'm sorry. My meme game is not as strong as it used to be. I'm getting old. Shame on me. I sort of half expect to be reading this thing that you're writing, DC not important, and going, oh, I know that one, and then for like 6 of the other, like 10 times, I'm like, I don't know that one, and I don't know that one too. Sometimes the genius is lost on mere mortals like me. And yeah, I'm not saying this is the perfect way to start off, but I think what Herringbone was trying to sort of do was to make an otherwise mundane scene fun. Um, I guess this is about making a mundane waiting scene a little more fun. Alternatively, for bonus points, you can weave in a memory of home. And by bonus points, I mean definitely do that. Whenever you have the opportunity to engage in bonus points, engage in bonus points. Because why not? You lose nothing. And you gain bonus points. What is it? A voice almost coughed. You guys know what I'm going to say here. A wheeze and a sneeze. No, no. Okay, so you don't want to do wheeze and sneeze, but you don't want to do this either. I think this is a bit overblown, but this is placeholder. Fill in the detail as you see fit. But if the detail is a bit unusual or vocal, prepare the reader's expectation before the words come out. Consider this. I think I left my keys over by the fridge. Martha screamed at the top of her lungs. Versus Martha screamed at the top of her lungs, I think I left my blah 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 blah. The last thing you want to do is to I remember reading a book a while ago by Isabel Allende called I'm just trying to remember the title. No, it wasn't Forest of the Pygmies. It was City of the Beasts by Isabel Allende. I'll try and see if I can link it in Goodreads or something. But the point about this book, The City of the Beasts, by Isabel Allende, I'll find a link to it. I remember it, apart from being a really good book. Wait a second, is there sequels? Yeah, apparently so. Ah, cool. Thanks, Ernst. Yes. Nailed it. But yeah, it's placeholder stuff, isn't it? It's all about getting an image into the reader's head and making them be like, ah. Now I know what's going on. These little descriptions cumulatively make up a character's presence. If I tell you to imagine the character of Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter, you know instantly what she's like because you've had successive little bits of her character coming to the fore with her sort of prim and proper attitude. And so the more you do it, the more it sticks in the reader's mind. Hello, Panda from Mars. Or Pandas from Mars. No, just a single one. Hey, good to see you again. 1 hour, 34 minutes, 45 seconds. That's the uptime. Wish I had a bot. Nah. Bots are for losers. Only the cool kids tell you the uptime on demand. Locally. Did that go through? The City of the Beasts? I can't see it here, but you can see it in Twitch chat. When I type into Twitch chat, on Twitch chat, it doesn't work. How strange. But I know it's going through because I can see it. Isabel Allende had this. It's a really interesting young adult book that I loved when I was growing up. But one really distinctive thing I remember from that book was the paragraph-long dialogue sections. And I hope I'm remembering this right, and I hope I'm not accidentally slandering a book. But I remember not knowing who was speaking until the very, very, very end of the paragraph. And because they were not particularly forthcoming with how they were speaking or what kind of emotional tint they had on the dialogue, I was always having to go through everything, come to the end, and then reconfigure the scene in my head with information that I picked up at the very end. What is it? A voice almost coughed. Oh, okay, he's coughing. In a voice halfway between a wheeze and a death rattle came, what is it? I instantly know it, like it's a fluid image that I don't need to redo in my head to put it before the dialogue. Hey Grim060606. Hi, welcome to the stream. We are dealing with Dreams Old and Nascent, which was sent to me by RightAsRainMan. I found their story on Reddit. We do line edits, developmental edits, structural edits, all flavors of edits on Lyrebird edits. I shouldn't say edits so many times in the same sentence, but yeah, that's what we do. We edit stories. This is chapter 2 that we're working with. How can I describe this story in a sentence? Like a Harry Potter-esque boy goes to university to study up on a curse that's afflicting him and preventing him from going home. Rainer poked his head into the room. Inside was a desk littered with stacks of paper, and a tall man perched behind it. The room smelled of stale cigarette smoke. Great opportunity to... Ugh. Wow. I'm losing my ability to type. What's going on? Stale cigarettes may wash through the room. The morning tide or something, so... When you got a really block description here, like a... It's not a placeholder, but it's a very... The room smelled of stale cigarette smoke. Fine. Stale cigarette smoke washed through the room like metaphor. Like, insert in whatever you like. That's just one possibility. Maybe not the strongest, but what it is, I guess, a demonstration of taking the object of this sentence, turning it into the subject, and bringing it to life. No downside to doing this. You get a much more robust image, and it's more interesting to read rather than just being like, the car was red. Alex's cherry tomato car came blustering down the road. Like, there are different ways you can say things that are quite basic, right? I guess our job as writers to make them interesting. Except for one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Better make a neat writing prompt. Just going over the whole Harry Potter thing, this kind of reminds me of Harry's dad being a bit of a dick, and Severus Snape being the bullying victim. Except for one. Yeah. Nothing like a good anti-hero. I was supposed to come in for advisement, Aina said. That's fine. I don't really want to be like, put this at the front, you must put it there. It's fine. The man nodded and waved him in. Close the door, he said while teasing a piece of paper out of his stacks. This I want before. And you can do something cool here that I want to demonstrate. This is a small garnish, I suppose, but like it's totally unnecessary, but it paints the scene a bit more and it introduces this man as a character. He's doing something particular and he's doing something that's a bit, to say it, quirky, I guess. Giving him a quirk is a really easy way to present yourself opportunity later down the dialogue track for some interesting choices and how everything goes. And I guess it just embeds a bit of interest into the whole thing too. Hmm. Cool things with Lyrebird. I reckon that's should be the name of the stream. Every stream. And you know what makes it super cool? It's my lovely fans. Ah. Ah. Give me money on Patreon. So, close the door. Good. You are... You one of the new first years. Aina nodded, taking a seat. The man had long hair that he had tied back in braids. All the territorial men Aina had seen so far wore their hair short and buzzed, and even stranger, the man's skin was almost as dark as Aina's. So what I want you to do here instead is make sure that this is okay to reiterate, but you should show us this detail before. If I'm not mistaken, those boys, girls in the tour group before were the same, in which case it wouldn't hurt to re-mention this detail. So like, all the territorial men Aina had seen so far can be replaced with replace all the territorial men Aina with just like those etc, etc, etc. Even stranger, the man's skin was also as dark as Aina's. I'm Bintan, I'm going to be your scholastic advisor. I'll keep this short. Your first session of classes is going to be pretty straightforward. Can I have your name? Is there 2 spaces between Bintan? No. Make him sit down / finish his paper withdrawal. Then turn attention to Aina. Make him look at the MC up. That sort of thing. Just inject a bit of life into it before we get there. Aina, full name, Aina. Your Aina comes first. No problem. We have no way of specifying that in the system, just so you know. Digital. Just again, I don't know when this story is set, so I'm assuming this is digital, but this reads a bit weird if we're assuming analog, ancient, old worldy. Just so you know, we have base and or house names here. They work similarly, but they have to be registered, and I can't do that for you. You might be correcting people on that while you're here a lot. On that while you're here a lot. Quite a bit. While you're here. They'll think it's your entire name. Thank you. I was expecting you to explain just now. No worry. No worries is probably what you want to avoid. Not a problem is something an academic would say. My parents were from below the plateaus, so I get it. Okay, and do you have any active crossings? That is to say, any nascent powers? I mean, you can get rid of I'm confused. You don't need to get there's a great Futurama quote where the robot devil is criticizing Fry's opera, and he jumps up on stage and he says, "You can't just get characters to declare how that feel. That makes me feel angry." And I love that scene. That's a really good episode too. Yeah, so don't get your characters. Well, you can get them to declare how they're feeling, sure, but you can show it with body language. I think that's always a bit stronger. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from saying I'm confused. Or you could do the 1-2 combination. I think that works okay. So, where should I send the green text? I got it as a... That is for new... You could do it at Google Docs or like a paste bin. That's up to you. Stick it in a Google Docs, actually. That's probably the easiest thing. Then we can sort of share it that way. Hey, Sayaka. You're not late. I'm late. Everyone's late. No herringbone. I disabled YouTube comments and I haven't enabled them again. Why did that get so super ugly? There's never been super ugly. No. I think I just disabled it on account of yes. Oh, super ugly is in like yeah, the actual like design of it. Yeah. Nope, this is Restream's new chat thing. I think I can get the old version. Yeah, it is a bit super ugly. It's really Yeah, I think good call. DC not important for a direct message. On stream. I think I better screen it first. Crashing the stream for nephew memes. Ah, sweet, sweet nephew memes. Hi, Pumpkin Addict. Welcome back. It's upside down day. Gravity is purple. The bird is employment. Sideways is Bajorum. Wow. Yep. I've turned reality on its head. This is outrageous and unfair. How could you jeopardize you do? Not allow them. Oh dear, I'm a terrible human. Let me clarify, we do already know that you are nascent. However, in order to take classes, you need to have a nascent power that you can actively use. We call this a crossing. Maybe you've heard a different term for them before, knots or threads, for example. Or knots or nodes, for example. I'm not sure I have. If I asked you to use your nascency right here and now, could you? No. Okay, that's it all then. What was my point here? Whistles like a bird. I guess so, yeah. Different crossings have we needed at this point? And sorry, yes, I'm not up to speed with prequel memes. See, I'm an old fogey. I don't think a nascent power use. It's a crossing. What was my point here? We do already know that you are a nascent, so one thing I think is good to establish. One thing I think is good to establish is how other people react to nascency, just as we as readers are more inclined to engage with the MC by his reactions from other characters about concepts are important to engage with too. So remember how I'm waking up in 9 hours. Hey everyone, I'm waking up in 9 hours. Just so you know. And God help me if I don't. Ooh. Ooh, otherwise the flux monster will come and tear my heart out. Remember how remember back when what was her name? The female character was standing up to what the other higher class she was reacting in a way that helps the reader understand the situation without needing a full on explanation. So too here, it'd help helps to gauge the general tolerance of what nascency is. Of what nascents are. Nascent. Yeah, so I just want clarification. Like, he says it like it's the most normal thing in the world, but, I mean, maybe for him it's totally fine. And that's good too, but we need to understand that it's fine for him. Oh, sorry guys. You've all been chatting away and I've just been editing this story. Excuse me. The real fun is here. Hmm. It's your time decision, do it. Yeah, fair point. Like, I think in terms of, I mean, if you feel like it's too similar to Death Note, don't let that hold you back. Like, as DC Important says, or DC Not Important, yeah, like, it doesn't really matter. If you're having fun doing it, then go for it. Doesn't even matter if it's similar to Death Note or not. Just, if you enjoy it, keep at it. Oh hey, that's what that's what Harry was said. Damn it, herringbone. Ooh. Well, that's cool. That's like it's like a video game called Fatal Frame, but like the reverse. In Fatal Frame, you've got a camera and you see spooky ghosts, and I think they're Japanese, which makes it extra scary. Yeah. I think run with it. That's a cool idea. I mean, other people may have thought of it before, but it's all about the execution of an idea, I think. Punkabiotic says, thanks for selecting a non-vomiting inducing shirt today, Liar. Now, are you absolutely sure that you want to comment on my shirt without actually being able to see it? Because, yeah. Actually, I promised to do this at the start of the stream. But yeah, this is my shirt. Okay, so last stream, my shirt was compared to like a Rubik's Cube, Rainbow Vomit, and I think it was Psycho who said it looks like or maybe it wasn't Psycho. Someone said it looked like a Las Vegas casino carpet. So feast your eyes on this. It's kind of like it's floral, and then it's like a leopard, and then there's like red leaves or something. I don't know. The point is, I look really nice. I have horrible shirts. No, actually, you know what? I like this shirt. You guys can make fun of me all you like, but I like this shirt. Ooh. Was that the English version of Fatal Frame? I haven't heard of Camera Obscura. I did, yes. Or was it an airport carpet? That's right. Yeah, I do. Give it a shot for NaNoWriMo. Every month is NaNoWriMo when you try hard enough. It looks like someone dropped sunflower seeds on the aisle 4. That's fantastic. The goggles do nothing. Good. Good. I appreciate a good Simpsons meme. Lieberman's fashion line. You two could look like a famous Twitch fiction editor. That's what we all want to aspire to be, isn't it? Like, just this. You gotta get the Liebert look. Hmm. My favorite so far is looks like someone dropped sunflower seeds. Ah, oh, so good. Back to the edit now. I'm not sure I have. If I asked you to use your nascency, could you? No. Okay, that's fine. Now this here I just sort of word vomited out when I read originally. So this is real life, good real life information, but for a story, not necessary. You could do like a full narrational summary, like he took Aina through his first season's cohort of classes, full stop, next thing. It's just not necessary to be like, hey, let me give you like the individual rundown of like credit point structures and like which classes you'll be taking. You don't strictly need it. In Dream of a Dream, although I do quite like that. Also ties in with the title. Dream's old and nascent. Ouch, DC not important. Oh, I like his shirt though. But you say it's phage. And gay. Oh no. Oh well, I'll live with it. Sorry. Ernst did raise this point before, but I think I just kind of glossed over it. I'd like to know how many Nascent crossings we have seen before this moment. I haven't seen all of the story, so I'm unsure, but I'm not too certain what a power looks like. I think the first... Actually, I'm just going to copy that and paste it into... Just second point. Herringbone reader suggests... Oh. Just didn't go anywhere. There you go. Because the answer to that question is... I don't know, either. The first taste of magic we got was when the door opens automatically, and the second is when he's dealing with his shadow, he's trying to touch his shadow. I guess that's kind of the first. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of got like a Southeast Asian vibe, this shirt. Like a sort of Malaysian fun shirt. I could see it. I could see people in Malaysia wearing this. Then when asked, yeah, like what is nascency? What is a crossing? They're good questions because we don't really have answers. We do have hints, as Herringbone is pointing out here. I think that's what we're sort of meant to understand by just a couple of things scattered here and there. I like how it's not spelt out. I like how we've been given an introduction into the particulars of this magic system without actually being told specific things about it. Alright, thanks so much. Just so you know, if you're unable to pass entering the dream by the add drop date in a few weeks, you won't be able to register for classes, so you have to wait until next season to catch up. Again, this is great information for Aina, the university student, not so good for the reader. We don't need to sit through an introduction tutorial. We're not taking a class with Aina. Even though we are taking a class with Aina, it's not the academic details that we need. Bintan motioned for Aina to hand over his gate pass. The advisor placed it on top of the larger piece of paper he'd been writing on, which he then signed the bottom of. Okay, careful here. Careful here. He wasn't doing this before. So all of a sudden, oh, he was writing on a piece of paper. Aina heard a dinging sound in his head. Okay, so we've established that... Okay, so we've now established that these gates equal magic sound. Or gates lead into magic sound. When this first happens... the dorm door make this clear, because the first time it happens it wasn't clear, the second time there was a bell, the third time there was a bell. There you should be all set. You can refer to your gate pass for more details in your classes, bin answered, handing it back, professors, locations, times, that sort of thing. This is all you need here. Whoops. Duh. That's all you need when it comes to admin info. Thanks. How common is it for people to fail the 100 class? It's pretty uncommon, but if you do have trouble, just let me know. I'm putting you down for another appointment for this Mags Day. You can tell me then. Going forward, don't feel like you need an appointment if you just don't repeat just. Oh wait, there's no just. What was I saying? Oh, need. It's not the just that's the problem, it's the need. If you just want to talk to something, just talk to me about something. If you just want to ask me something. I'm generally more free on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Make it and check. Alright, let's see. Ben inject his tongue as he clicked his tongue as he scanned a list on the back wall. Alright, he looked straight into Aiden's eyes. No drinking, no smoking, no fighting, he said with a nod. And try not to glance at a nearby bottle of liquor resting under a stack of papers. Why you don't look at that? You are here on a temporary... You are here on a temporary scholarly basis, so this is me reminding you not to get into trouble. You're aware that your free tuition and board is in exchange for 4 to 6 years of military service upon graduation. Aiden nodded. He had been forced to agree to a lot in order to come to the basins in the first place. While he didn't relish the idea of serving the military of a nation he had no love for, it hopefully wouldn't come to that. If he could find a cure before, then he wasn't worried about burning a few bridges when he left. I think that information is spot on, Psycho. Burgers are good. Burgers. Burgers are much more tasty. Ethereal monstrosity. Love it. I think this is fine. If you are ever arrested for any reason, Ben Tan continued. All of these privileges can be revoked easily. The ultimate choice to let you remain in the territories is up to the constabulary, which means he gestured loosely at Aina. No drinking, no smoking or fighting, I understand. Good, and no working either. The local lords don't like that you're a foreigners coming here to study and taking my jobs instead. If you get an offer to work, come and see me before you get accept anything. Got it? Got it, alright. Next time, thanks again. I didn't think... Ah yes, another appointment. Awkwardly left the room? Get rid of awkwardly. In a hurry. That's probably better. Another foreign scholar was waiting for their appointment in the same stiff chair outside. Past tense, excuse me. Good to throw back to the scene opener, I think. Alright. I agree, I like that. I think there are lots of little subtle things that are thrown in through this style of world building, and I think the author, I agree, does a good job of establishing these sort of background facts. They work really well. It makes it very engaging. Okay, good. I think I'm gonna call it there tonight. And I'll have to think about whether I'll continue on or whether I'll switch to another story. I think I've done a really good chunk of this story so far. But I'll ask Shavine perhaps if he wants one more edit, or I might move on to another. I'll have a think about it. What else? DC not important. I'll take a look at your green text after I pop off the stream. What else? I think that's it. Thank you for joining me for a Wednesday. This is an unusual stream time. But thank you for making the effort to switch to a day before. I'll be back to Wednesdays. No, back to Thursdays next week. There's nobody else who wants edits. No, you were here. You told us to eat healthy burgers, which is solid advice. I can't go yet. Watch me. Watch me. I'll do what I like. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for making it a wonderful stream. And thank you for all the wonderful, kind, and very true things that you said about my lovely shirt. I'll be back on Sunday with an equally impressive shirt. I should get a new shirt for every stream. That sounds actually more expensive than is sensible now that I think about it. Yeah. It is an interesting story. I really like this. I think there's a whole lot of world building there that's really rich and dense, and I want it to rise up to the top and be really engaging. So I think we're well on our way there. It's been a real pleasure to edit this. So we'll see you guys Sunday morning. Oh, I didn't drop a single frame. Nice. Quality stream. Quality 30 frames a second, 540p. Good. Okay, we'll catch you guys later.